Yo, what is up, everybody? I'm here to give my final picks and my final bets for UFC 305 going down tomorrow or today. Sorry about that. I am releasing this a little bit later into my Friday or my early Saturday. My apologies. My Friday got a little busy, but I'm here to give out my final picks and my final bets for UFC 305. So it's gonna be a great card in Perth, Australia, and I think just from this press conference and how it went. I think it kind of gave some juice and life to the main card, and it didn't really need it in my opinion, but I think it just adds um, this anticipation for this card. So let's break down the fights. I'm gonna give my final picks, kind of go through it as quick as I can, and at the end I'll give my final picks, and then I'll give my final bets at the end. So let's start from the bottom of the card and then work our way up. We have Stuart Nickel versus Jesus Aguilar. I'm taking Stuart Nickel here by decision. I think Jesus Aguilar has enough skill to kind of make this a competitive fight, but I think Stuart Nickel can just find his way in better positions when this fight gets to the ground. And I do think that Stuart Nickel can transition into better positions on the ground as well. He's a very methodical worker on the ground. And I just think he gets to better positions and does really great work, ground and pound on the ground. And yeah, I just think he wins this on the cards 30-27. And I think Stuart Nickel does have has a very great calf kick that can affect Aguilar's movement early in this fight. So I'm going to take the UFC debut and Stuart Nickel here to get his first one in the UFC. Next fight, we have Song Kenan versus Ricky Glenn. I'm taking Song Kenan here. And I just know, I found out that Ricky Glenn is moving up a weight class in this fight to 170. So I don't like the move up for him. I mean, he's struggling with the power at 155. He's been getting knocked out by 155ers, and now he's going up to 170 and fighting a guy who has great power in the hands. But I think what can give Ricky Glenn some grace here is Song Kenan doesn't really rush in and rush for the kill. I feel like he's a very patient fighter. He kind of stays on the outside and kind of works his striking on the outside. And I think that can buy Ricky Glenn some time to kind of warm up into this fight. So I think Ricky Glenn can survive into the second round here, but I don't see this going to the judges' scorecards. I could see Song Kenan getting a late stoppage, maybe round 3 TKO or a 30-27 to the scorecards. I just don't think Ricky Glenn is fully into the fighting anymore. I think he loses this fight and then he retires or gets cut. I don't know what his contract is like right now, but I think Ricky Glenn is almost there from being just completely done with MMA and UFC. So give me Song Kenan by decision. Next, we have Tom Nolan versus Alex Reyes. I'm going to take Tom Nolan here. I'm going to take the 24-year-old that is still growing in the sport. I do like the striking from Tom Nolan. I know he has a very suspect chin, and he's been knocked out already in the UFC. And I think Alex Reyes could be a very interesting fight and opponent for Tom Nolan here. But I just can't put faith in Alex Reyes, just where he's at in his career and what he's been through. That long layoff, the 6-year layoff, and then coming back and getting TKO'd, and then he's coming into this fight against a prospect from Australia who, say what you want, yes, he's been knocked out, but I think he still has a bright future, and he's still 24 years old and still growing in the sport. I'm going to go with the young bull here. I'm going to go with Tom Nolan by TKO here. And I think Alex Reyes might be another one who I think may fight out the contract, or I don't know where he's at in his fight contract, but I think he's nearing the end of that contract, and I just think he's close to being done too. But I would love to see some fight from Alex Reyes. I would hope to see this fight go into round 2 and 3, just to see more what Alex Reyes could do and what he's capable of, and to see more of Tom Nolan's game. So, but I do have Tom Nolan getting a nasty TKO in the second round here. Next up, we have Jack Jenkins versus Herbert Burns. Kind of like what I said about Alex Reyes. I mean, I don't know Herbert Burns, like just his body language in this past couple of performances. I haven't liked what I've seen, and he's getting finished again. I don't know where the motivation is for Herbert Burns at this point in time in his career right now, but I just don't like what I've seen from him in the past couple performances. And I think Jack Jenkins is a very, very talented prospect coming out of the Australia. I love Jack Jenkins. I think he's a dog too. And he in his last fight, yeah, he's coming off an injury into this fight. But his last fight, before he got injured, he was beating Chepe Mariscal, and I think Chepe is a dog too. So I think Jack Jenkins just picks up where he left off, and he gets a clean win here. I think he gets a TKO win over Herbert Burns. I'm gonna go round 3 finish for Jack Jenkins. Jack Jenkins is he doesn't go in for the kill. He's very patient with the attack, but he's very active. So I think just punches and just the active punches could add up for the Burns on Herbert Burns' chin, and maybe Herbert Burns just kind of curls up and just calls it a day, and I don't know, taps or whatever. So give me Jack Jenkins by late finish, TKO. Next up, we have Casey O'Neill versus Luana Santos. Santos is just coming off a win streak right now. She's coming off a finish in her last fight, which was just a month ago. So a very quick turnaround for Luana Santos. She's stepping in on a short notice for this fight, and I don't like that for her. I just don't know how I feel about that. I don't like it. Um, I think this fight with the full camp from both, I may lean Luana Santos, but I am going to take the underdog here in Casey O'Neill. I picked Casey O'Neill on Monday, and I'm staying with Casey O'Neill for the final picks. And she's my underdog number 1 going into UFC 305. I just think the stand up and just the stand up and striking from Casey O'Neill, but I think she can just outdog and push a pace on Luana Santos that on a short notice I don't think Luana Santos is ready for. And Casey O'Neill, with the new camp that she's been at for this fight, Fight Ready in Arizona, I love the camp move for Casey O'Neill here. I think she just gets back in the win column. I think she has an upset win here, and she's back in the win column. I know Luana Santos has a lot of confidence coming off her last win, but the jump from Akapova to Casey O'Neill for Luana Santos, it's a lot. I think it's a lot. And on short notice, not with the full camp, I don't like it at all. So give me Casey O'Neill with the underdog number 1 for me, and give me Casey O'Neill to win by decision. Next fight, we have Josh Kulibau versus Ricardo Ramos. This fight has been I've been back and forth about this fight all week, but I start off with Josh Kulibau, and I'm going to stay on the Kulibau side. I wouldn't be surprised if Ramos wins this fight if he decides to use more of the wrestling and mixes in the takedowns and but something I can't back Ramos on is just the IQ and just the mental errors that he's making on the ground, leaving his neck exposed, and then his opponent's locking up submission on him. It's happened a few times already, just recently in his career, and Kulibau having some submissions on his resume too. So I think this fight is going to kind of be a very strategic fight on the feet. I think Hamosh could get reckless and do a lot of the spinning attacks on the feet, but I think Kulibao could just land the more effective strikes here. Um, but Kulibao is just again a very there's no urgency to Kulibao's game here. He's gonna play the game. He's gonna stand with you, strike with you, go back and forth with you. But I think Kulibao can just land the more effective strikes that look good to the judges, and I have Kulibao winning by decision here. For the feature prelim, we have Junior Tafa versus Walter Walker. I picked Junior Tafa on Monday, and this is my first pick flip for UFC 305. I'm going to end up with the Walter Walker here. I picked Junior Tafa on Monday, basically just the slight edge for the kickboxing, but I don't know if he's going to throw that much in this fight. I don't know if his striking is going to be effective enough to maybe win rounds, but I'm just going to lean the more heavy wrestling, the bigger body in Walter Walker here to shoot for takedowns and get them. And if he does get some takedowns in here, I think it's going to be hard for Junior Tafa to even get back to the feet. So I think Walter Walker just needs like 4 or 5 takedowns, and easier said than done, though, right? But I just need to see more from Junior Tafa. I need to see that fight. I need to see something that is just going to a better case for Junior Tafa here. So I'm going to take Walter Walker, just being the bigger body and having the wrestling, and he looked like he has lost a lot of weight. And his physique wise, when he weighed in today, looked a lot better on the scale. I think he's coming in here, taking this a bit serious now, and finding his groove at heavyweight in the UFC. So I'm going to take Walter Walker by decision here. I think it's going to be an ugly fight. I think it's going to be a grimy fight in the heavyweight division. If this fight does finish, I can see Walter Walker getting a ground and pound TKO, but I think Walter Walker can just do enough to get the takedowns and maybe work some ground and pound here, but maybe a whole bunch of laying and praying here for Walter Walker. But give me Walter Walker, underdog number 2 for me. Heading into the main card, the pay-per-view card, we have the Leech, Li Jingliang versus Carlo Prates. I started the week with Carlos, and I'm going to end here with Carlos being as my final pick. Give me Prates to win by decision. I think this is going to be a showcase of his skills. All of his skills is going to be an all-around kind of showcasing for what Carlo Prates brings for 15 minutes. I think the Leech is very durable. I think the Leech is very hard to put away. And I think Carlo Prates really just picks his shots. And I think he does rock Li Jingliang, but I think we just see a 15-minute masterclass performance from Carlos Prates, and he gets a 30-27 decision. That's my pick here. Next up, we have Tai Tuivasa versus Jairzinho Rodenstrike. There's a lot of value on Tai Tuivasa, I think, but I started off with Jairzinho, and I'm going to end with Jairzinho. Give me Rodenstrike to win this fight by 3rd round TKO. I think Tai is just too wild for me, and I think after the last performance from Jairzinho and how he looked against Gaziev, I really love that performance from Jairzinho. Just to see the patience and the methodical approach, and kind of letting Shamil Gaziev kind of punch himself out and overextend on punches, and Jairzinho just being a great counter striker. I think we can see a lot of that in this fight. Him just being the cleaner counter striker when Tai is maybe rushing in, getting careless on the feet, and Jairzinho just landing the cleaner straight punches in this fight, being the better counter striker. I think Tai can present a problem with the lower calf kicks and some leg kicks here. Jairzinho hasn't really checked a lot of the lower leg kicks and the leg kicks in the past. So that may be something that Ty exploits, and that opens up some of the game that he presents. But I'm going to take Rosenstruck here to win by third round TKO. I think Rosenstruck just kind of ends up finding that chin, and I think both guys are very durable. I think that they can both take the punches that they give each other, but I think Rosenstruck finds that punch in the third round or late in this fight and gets Ty out of here. Next fight, we have Mateus Gamrot versus Dan Hooker. On Monday, I leaned Gamrot barely. But something about Dan Hooker this whole week, watching interviews, just how he was talking about him working with the coach, and he knows what the game plan is for Gamrot. Gamrot may just try to play the outside game and strike with him, but everyone knows Gamrot is going to shoot for those takedowns, chain wrestle. If he gets hurt, if Dan Hooker lands something on Gamrot and Gamrot gets hurt, another panic attack shooting. So I think Dan Hooker knows what is going to happen in this fight. I lean the wrestling and the takedown, the relentlessness of Gamrot on Monday, but I'm going to pick flip here. I'm going to go with Dan Hooker to get the upset win here. I just love what I heard. I love the confidence that Dan Hooker is giving off this week, and I'm buying it, man. I'm just buying into Dan Hooker right now. So give me Dan. I think he can definitely win this fight on the feet. I think he's going to be tough to take down. I think he's going to make the scrambles a bit interesting on the. I think he's going to make the scrambles a bit interesting, and I think Gamrot, he's going to shoot for his life for 15 minutes, but I think Dan Hooker may land some shots that kind of sway the judges' decision here, and I think Dan Hooker ends up with a 29-28 split decision win. So give me Dan Hooker to get the upset here. In the co-main event, we have Kai Kara-France versus Steve Erceg. I started off with Astro Boy, and I'm going to end with Astro Boy. Give me Steve Erceg to win by decision. Kai looks great. Kai's only 31 years old, but I feel like he's been in this division forever. But I think with Steve Erceg having that title fight with Pantoja in his last fight, I think he got a taste of just – he was so close to that title. And I think that's just driving his motivation here to get that feeling back and hopefully get a rematch for the champion and finally get that belt back. I thought Steve Erceg won that fight with Pantoja. It was very, very close. He can call it either way. I think Steve Erceg believes that he should be champion, and I think he just wants that so bad. I don't think he's overlooking Kai Kara-France, but I think he just has this mindset of that belt should be mine. I think I'm the champion without the belt right now, but I love the feeling. I love that I put up a great fight against the champion. I think he's motivated by that. I think Steve Erceg puts on a good performance. I think Kai Kara-France has moments in this fight. But I think Steve Erceg just mixing in takedown, grappling, wrestling, and standing and trading with Kai Kara-France. Yeah, give me Steve. Give me Steve by decision here. And in the main event, guys, we have Dricus du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya. We all saw the press conference and Izzy crying, and I know people are saying, you know, Israel is weak, and you know we see the tears, right? But I kind of take that as Dricus probably hit a nerve, and he struck a very sensitive subject. And we're all human, and I think we all have been in that position that Israel Adesanya was in that press conference of someone kind of getting underneath our skin and hitting a sensitive subject, and it kind of just overwhelms us with emotion. So I'm not getting on Israel, but I know if you have money on Israel in this fight, I think you are very, very worried about what you saw. You maybe are scared of the emotion that's coming over him. My question is like, can Izzy channel all this anger and just stay within himself to fight for 25 minutes? can he stay focused for 25 minutes? Can he just keep his emotions on the down low and just stay focused in this fight? Because he's going to need to be focused on his A game for 25 minutes against Dricus. I think Dricus proved to a lot of us that he is a great trash talker, and he doesn't need to shout. He doesn't need to yell and cuss at you to make a point. I think he's just something about his demeanor, the way he kind of says these one-liners, and just a really cold trash talker, almost like a Dominic Cruz, like on the mic. I think Dricus just, I think Dricus is just going to mess up the flow and the rhythm Israel Adesanya. Adesanya loves that distance. He controls the distance very well. But we saw with the Strickland fight, when you crowd that space and you take away the distance and you be that pressure fighter, you know, Israel doesn't really do too well with the pressuring the pressure. And I think Dricus is just, he's a tank, man. Yes, Israel could find some good counting striking angles, and Dricus needs to be careful with the sniper that is Israel Adesanya. But I love the coaches of Dricus du Plessis. Um, I love that they are able to make adjustments mid fight. We saw it in the Sean Strickland fight with Dricus. But I love everything about the champ and what the champ has going on right now. I hope Izzy wins, but I just can't buy into Israel Adesanya in this fight leading up to this fight. I really have to see it to believe it. You know, Israel Adesanya is talking a big game. He's coming off a little bit of a layoff, a longer layoff than we are used to for Israel Adesanya. But I'm just curious to see what version of Israel Adesanya we get after a layoff, and you know, with the emotions running high in this fight, what does Adesanya look like? So I just have to see it to believe it, and I'm gonna go the champ here. Israel Adesanya is now the underdog. Dricus was my an underdog pick for me, but it looks like he's the favorite now. So I'm gonna take the champ. Okay. Um, yeah. So those are my picks. I'm gonna give my final picks right now, and I'll give my final bets. So to recap my final picks for UFC 305, I have Stuart Nickel. We have Kanan Song or Song Kanan, Tom Nolan, Jack Jenkins, Casey O'Neill, dog number 1, Walter Walker, dog number 2. One pick flip right there. Carlos Prates, Jairzinho Rodenstrike, Dan Hooker, underdog number 3, another pick flip. Co-main, we have Steve Urseg, and in the main event, I have and still Dricus du Plessis. Now, my final bets. I'm not betting too crazy for this card, but I do have 2 parlays, and I'm going to share them with you right now. Let's see here. So, parlay number 1, I put together an overs parlay. So, this is the parlay I have. Okay. So I have Santos and O'Neal. How the fight will end, I have by decision minus 200. I have Hamos and Kulibao over 2.5 rounds at minus 125. I have Walter Walker and Junior Tafa over 2.5 rounds plus 120. I have Prates and Li Jingliang over 2.5 plus 120. I have Jairzinho Rodenstrike and Taito Ivasa over 1.5 rounds plus 150. And then I have the main event over 3.5 rounds, and that was minus 150. I put a half unit on that parlay, and it's at plus 5,345. So it's a good payout. But yeah, and then my other parlay is just money lining my picks. So On my second parlay, I have Casey O'Neill, I have Josh Kulibau, I have Walter Walker, I have Carlos Prates, I have Jarzinho Runstrike, and then I have Steve Ursig. I put 1 unit on this parlay. I feel really confident about my picks this week. So yeah, I put 1 unit on there, and that was plus 2,228. So those are my final picks and my final bets for UFC 305. Good luck to all those who are betting. Good luck on your picks today. Hopefully, I do enough on your sub with the breakdown. And let me know. Let's chat in the comment section. Let me know who you are feeling good about. But yeah, guys, thank you guys again, and see you guys on the next one.
Tell me I can make the name. Potato barrel making mashed potatoes. They can't play me, boy, I'm gravy. I be ballin' full quarters, storing shit like a hoarder, Sleepy stretching with a big foe. Guess you playing power forward, Ride on my enemies, bumping that pop, bumping that.